Hey guys, welcome back. It's me in these quiet woods again. Today, let me share with you more about options and why I find options interesting. So right now, I'm still practicing what I preach. And these are the 3 options trades that I've executed this month. And if you want to check out the video on why I executed these trades, I'll put a link above and down below. Okay, so today, I'm going to talk about what got me interested into options in the first place. So to me, the 2 most important things I always say about options is that number 1, option is a time instrument. And number 2, options is a probability game. Now, I'm someone that always question about the universe, why are we all here? And I like to ponder about complicated stuff. So to me, the 2 most complicated things that I cannot fathom is time and consciousness. Like if you really go down the rabbit hole and think about time and consciousness, you ask yourself like, what the F is all this? Like it doesn't even make sense. And since options is a time instrument, we will go down the rabbit hole of time. Now, we view time as an absolute unit of measurement. Now, what do I mean by absolute unit of measurement? 99.99% of us view time as a unit of account. Means that 1 second is 1 second, 1 minute is 1 minute, an hour is an hour. Time is absolute for most people and time is fixed. But if you really were to go down the rabbit hole of time, you will notice that time is not an absolute unit of measurement, but everyone quantify everything in time. Let's say I have to get up and report to work at 9 AM and I will go off work at 6:30 PM. I will meet my friend at 8 PM for dinner and I have a yoga class at 8 AM tomorrow. So to me, that bothers me because I know time is not an absolute unit of measurement. And why is time not an absolute unit of measurement? In this video, I'll try to prove to you. Now imagine now that you are in a third person point of view, a third person perspective. Or let's say you are standing on the moon, you're observing Earth. Now Earth has mass. The empty space around it is not really empty. It's sort of like a dimension field. And let me illustrate on a $10 bill how this looks like. $10 bill is the dimension field, is the empty space around Earth. And let's take these AirPods for example as Earth, an object with mass. When an object has mass and it sits on top of the dimension field, for example, this dimension field is supposed to be straight, and when we put mass on top of this dimension field, the dimension field will be bent. And this is what Einstein later found out, that actually light doesn't travel straight, but light can be bent. Light will take the shortest path to reach our eyes, and since Earth is like a shape of a sphere, light will bend to reach our eyes, and hence the distance instead of a straight line is bent. And since speed of light is constant, distance is speed times time. Speed is constant, time will be affected. So this is known as time dilation. Time moves differently depending on the mass of the object. So for example, something massively heavy will be black hole, where everything collapses inside. You will definitely experience time differently in black hole than outer space. And this is why I find time fascinating. And since options is a time instrument, it deals with theta, it deals with time decay, it has time value in it. Options is a contract riding through the passage of time. And to me, that is fascinating. And if you think what I'm talking about is complicated, wait till you dive into Professor Liu Koguan, who is the 3rd largest Tesla shareholder, dive into his thesis or his papers wrote on KQID time engine. And I think that is the knowledge gap between the billionaire and the 6-figure boy here. So to me, everything is knowledge gap. And the faster you close up the knowledge gap and solve problems, you will have access to all this blue ocean that most people cannot do. Because they are not able to comprehend and understand, they will not be able to make that amount of money. Okay, so this is my fascination on time, and it gave me a better understanding of time. Not that knowing this directly helps with options, but it definitely opened up a curiosity for me to deep dive more into options. Okay, now second thing I want to talk about is options is a probability game. Now I've said this before, that options is a probability game, and in a probability game, so long as you are the house and you calculated your risk, you will always win in the long term. So options is more like making use of a short term mispricing, and then you use options to do things in your favor, and that is why you need patience. And you don't see me trying to execute options trade every month. So since options is more like trading, your goal is to patiently wait for a setup, patiently wait for a high probability setup for you to take on this risk, and this risk will translate to profits. If you were to take on an option trade that you yourself feel that has lesser than 50% probability of winning, you are actually gambling, and the odds will not be in your favor, and the risk you are taking is not worth it. And this risk that you are taking will most likely translate to losses. So keep in mind that options is a probability game. Your goal is to assign probabilities to each and different scenarios and different outcomes. And this is also how I live my life, assigning probabilities to each outcome. Again, I repeat, your goal is to wait for a setup. Be patient. So long as you feel that the probability is above 50% or higher, the higher probability, the better. So long as you're the house, you have the probability in your favor, you have the holding power, you will always win in the long term, just like casino. So this is a very first principles approach when it comes to viewing options and how do you make money from options. Knowing all this is part of the first equation. The later part of the equation is about connecting the dots with information and knowledge so that you can trust your own judgment and better assess that whether or not this trade is a high probability trade or a low probability trade with your own judgment, since nobody can judge for you. Okay, so that is it for today. Just want to explain what I mean by options is a time instrument and options is a probability game. Okay, now just some quick update about Tesla, the stock market, and in general. I'm now less bearish on the stock market because Elon said this in a podcast.
To like a big recession?
I don't think we're headed into a big recession. I'd say like maybe a mild recession, but it could be a mild recession that lasts for a couple of years, something like that, you know. But the thing that's hard to predict are like, you know, like if there's like a war between China and Taiwan or something like that, that would send the world into a recession.
Now, Elon is someone closest to the supply chain. He has the first-hand knowledge on the prices of supply chain and the raw materials. So through him, knowing that inflation have cooled down, this will also mean that there is lesser probability of further rate hikes, because the goal was to increase interest to destroy demand of goods and services. And he said that instead of a serious recession, he foresees a prolonged mild recession over a period of time. And this gives me confidence and an idea that things will play out in a prolonged mild recession, and I will have time to sell put, sell call, extracting time decay. And if the market crashes and Tesla is severely underpriced, I will find cash to buy as many leap options as possible, and that will be a separate video. And because I'm no longer so bearish on the market, I started selling put options and combine it with call option. Okay, so that is it for today. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you haven't. I'm trying to get to 2K subs and it's taking way too long. Please help me with it. Thank you so much, and I will see you next week.
I can feel the blood creeping up from the heathens. Got will, got fight, got pride, got